Okay, so we're now recording, and I will now start to share screen. So hopefully everyone is able to see that presentation. And welcome everyone, good afternoon. Seminar 6, all about valuation reports. So first of all, I'll just quickly go through some housekeeping. So the seminar should last no more than an hour. You will have plenty of time to ask questions, so please do. This is obviously an opportunity for you to get the most out of the seminar and have any questions answered if you have any. I'll be just sharing the screen today, so that's just to go through the presentation. And if you do need to leave for any reason, obviously you can do so. I think it's the right bottom corner that has a leave button. So please, if you need to, that's fine, we understand. Just asking for everyone to keep their microphones on mute, unless of course you're asking a question, just to avoid any background noise. Please do ask away as mentioned. We will have questions and answers anyway at the end. You can raise your hand if you want to ask something. You can pop something in the chat if that helps, or you can simply shout out, don't be afraid. And as I said before, we are recording, so obviously if you don't want to be seen, then you can take put your video off. And I think that's everything from the housekeeping point of view. So meet the team. So sort of slightly different because Dagmar and Sue are both unable to join us today, so apologies for that. But we do have Des and we do have Deborah and we do have me, who isn't on there, but I'm Sue, and I will introduce myself in a minute. I will ask Deborah, would you like to introduce yourself now?
Yep. Hi, everyone. So I'm Deborah Mason. I've been here 10 years this year, and I currently look after Scotland and the east of England, but soon to include Wales and the northwest as well, I believe, towards the end of the week. That's me.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. I am Des Blackman, local care liaison administrator, and I currently look after London and the South East, soon to be covering the West Midlands and the South West.
Thanks.
That's me.
Joanna, I see you've just joined us. Just to say, we are recording this, so I hope that's okay. If you don't want to be seen, then obviously you can just turn your camera off. I hope that's okay, Joanna. Thank you. The reason why we're recording it is so that we can put it on our YouTube channel, so it does become available to all the other local authorities. So hi there, I'm Sue. I know I'm not on there, but that's fine. Sue Parsons, Operations Manager. I've been with the Share Foundation now for over 8 years, and generally I look after the day-to-day activities of the Share Foundation and work very closely with all the team members. So the topics we're going to cover today include who are the Share Foundation, the types of savings accounts that are available, an introduction to the valuation report, the report headings and what they all mean, and the report sections, the actions to be taken by local authorities and healthcare trusts, unclaimed accounts, so we'll talk a little bit about that, no ID or bank account, and any questions. So we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end, but anyone who has just missed what we said, if you do need to ask any questions during that, that's fine. Just raise your hands, pop something in the chat, or just call out. That's no problem at all. So who are the Share Foundation? So we've been going since 2005. We're a registered charity, and in 2005 we were actually raising additional contributions for child trust funds for young people in care in the local area. Our work then moved to being awarded the government with the government contract with the Department for Education in 2012, and that was to set up and administer junior ISA scheme for children in care. So basically the Child Trust Fund scheme finished on the 2nd of January 2011. That was for all young people born in the UK from the 1st of September 2002 and up to and including the 2nd of January 2011. And so that scheme ended when the new government came in. But the Share Foundation lobbied the government together with Barnardo's and Action for Children to say, fine, what about young people in care? You've now stopped this savings scheme, but what about young people in care? And what about long-term savings for them? So that's when the government introduced the junior ISAs and the junior ISA scheme for children in care. So in 2017, our contract widened to also include the child trust funds where there is no adult in a position of parental responsibility. So what that generally means is that if a local authority or healthcare trust advise that there is no one managing the child trust fund account effectively, no one in a position of parental responsibility, then they will ask the Share Foundation to become the registered contact. So we would go to HMRC, locate the account, take control, and advise the account provider that we are going to take control until such time as obviously anything changes. 2023, the government advised that we would be continuing doing this work until the next tender for the contract. Very important to advise you that all costs for the Share Foundation are covered by the government and a philanthropist. So when you are contributing, foster carers are contributing, fostering agencies, whoever contributes money to these young people's accounts, 100% of the money is going into those young people's accounts. And at this stage, I will say, financial year's just ended, £6.4 million has been raised through these additional contributions and gone into young people's accounts. So many thanks to you, your teams, the fostering agencies, fostering carers that you're working with, because £6.4 million isn't a massive amount of money. So thank you. So long-term savings accounts, we've got the Junior ISA, we've got the Child Trust Fund, and both are long-term saving accounts set up by the government, available to all children under 18 in the UK. The Child Trust Fund scheme closed for new accounts, as mentioned, on the 2nd of January 2011, and that's when the Junior ISA scheme took over. The Share Foundation can only manage, as mentioned before, the child trust funds where the local authority or healthcare trust confirmed there's no one in a position of parental responsibility. With the Junior ISAs, because the Share Foundation opened those, we are automatically the registered contact. And anyone can contribute to a Junior ISA or Child Trust Fund account. And that's me. And I'm sorry, I think I may have stolen that slide as well. So I will move over to Des.
Hi, everybody. So we're going to run through the introduction to the valuation report. So each quarter, we will send, so it'll be Deborah, myself and Sue, will send over you a quarterly valuation report to our main contact. And this will list all the information on every Junior ISA and Child Trust Fund we are managing. We say we send it out quarterly, but it can be requested. We can run a valuation report whenever you want to, basically. So I have some of my local authorities, I send it over monthly. We will explain how to interpret the report and highlight which each section means and what needs to be done with the information provided. The purpose of the report is to assist the local authority, ensuring every young person is aware of their account and takes responsibility at an appropriate time, i.e. when they leave care, when they hit 16 or 18. It's imperative that the local authorities provide information to the care leavers on how they access their savings account, particularly those leaving care at 18. If this is not done, it can result in the account become dormant and the whole benefit becoming lost to the young adult concerned. Next slide. So this is basically what your valuation report, your column headings look like. Next one. So it consists of, the first column will be your TSF reference number. This is our unique reference number, and it's given to each individual young person in care. Your local authority reference number, eligibility date, account, previous valuation, although this is not actually used, new money from nation, new money from the government, new money from the LA, new money from other, current valuation, child inquiry status, and the inquiry status date. Now, these last two columns are relatively new. Some of you may be aware we used to provide a subject access request form report. These, instead of doing that now, so that's whereby the young person has actually completed our online application and we've sent out the letter advising them where their accounts are. So instead of doing a separate report, we've added these two extra columns just to make your lives easier. Thank you. Right, so the TSF reference number, as I mentioned before, is first, and so the eligibility date. This is the date the young person first met the qualifying criteria for a junior ISA and was notified to us. So, effectively, the first date you reported them to us on your data submission. If there's no date in this field, the account is a CTF account, which was opened shortly after birth, and for which we have taken responsibility on or after the 1st of October 2017. Thank you. Over to Deborah.
Right, hi everyone. So just to continue on with the columns, the next column on the line is previous valuation. That one isn't populated, so that will always say 0. New money from nation. So this is used to reflect any donations that we get from central government from any of the 4 main governments. Sometimes we'll receive a pot of money for even distribution amongst young people in their care. If you see anything in that column, that's where it will have come from, and you'll probably see the figure repeated on the valuation sheet in that list. New money from government, that will reflect when we receive the £200 for the junior ISA for any new accounts. Again, as Des said, if it's a junior ISA, there will be a date in the eligibility column, and then you will see the £200, which is the initial payment from the Department of Education reflected in this column. CTF accounts may or may not show a valuation. It very much depends on what information that we've had through. So don't be concerned if that is blank for a child trust fund. It's potentially could just be shown as blank, but there may still be a balance in the final column. Okay, so we have new money from the local authority. This will reflect any monies that we've had through from you to contribute into that account. New money from other. This may be reflected in the previous column, or it may come into this column from third parties, fostering agencies, individuals, etc. The current valuation. So this will show you, we send the valuation on a quarterly basis, and we receive junior ISA updates on valuations on the quarterly basis, which is why we send the valuation report thereafter. So with a junior ISA, your quarterly valuation will reflect the most up-to-date balance that we have. With a child trust fund account, we generally get an annual statement for a trust fund. So it may not be the most up-to-date balance. If you need us to request a statement on an ad hoc kind of basis here and there, we can certainly do that. But just to be aware that for a trust fund, you may be looking at a balance which potentially could be 11 months old. And also, just due to timing, the final balance may not reflect all of the contributions that have been paid in. It very much depends on when the donation or contribution was updated to the financial provider as to then when we got the next valuation. So just be aware of that. If you see a discrepancy between the donation column and the final balance, drop us a line and we can have a look and see exactly why there's a difference, and it probably will be down to timing.
So I touched on this on the previous slide, the children inquiry status and the inquiry status date. This does not indicate when the young person has actually claimed their account. Unfortunately, some of the providers, they don't tell us. That's the long and short of it. They don't tell us when the young person's claimed. However, we have got quite good relationships with a fair few of the financial providers now who are willing to actually tell us, yes, they've been claimed. No, they haven't. So it really just depends case by case where the account is, and we can try and obviously advise you if the child provider lets us know, that we can tell you. Thank you.
Right, for those that receive the valuation report, you'll notice that it's split into several different sections. The section that the young person sits in will be related to what they were reported as on the last data submission. So you'll see that we have adopted special guardianship, retained majority, in care, died, independent living, left country, not in care, other, and returned to parents. We also have one for terminally ill, but that's very, very rarely used. So they're the sections. What you'll see is that these sections will all appear at the top of the report, and then you'll see them repeated again at the bottom of the report. Now, when an account is claimed by a young person, or the third party parent or guardian takes control for a care leaver, that will drop down to the bottom of the report into one of the 0 sections. So for instance, I think the first section on your valuation report is adopted. If there is a balance shown next to that young person, it means that the parent, guardian, third party has not yet taken control of that account, because we're still receiving a balance on it. So that's kind of where it sits. So if there is a balance next to that young person, it means we're still receiving the valuation. Okay. So in light of that, what we would encourage you to do, obviously we want the young people to be put in contact with their accounts as soon as possible after they leave care. If there is a value in any section other than in care, we would encourage you to resend the status change letter that we would have sent you when they were reported on the data with a left care status. Or alternatively, if the young person is over 16, we would encourage you to resend their over 16 or over 17 and a half letter, encouraging them to trace the account themselves. So with regards to the status change letter, as we just touched on, when a young person is reported on your data as left care, if it's an account that we are managing, we raise something called a status change letter. Now, for a junior ISA, that will come across to the local authority with a change of registered contact form, which is to be forwarded to the responsible adult. They then complete that change of contact form, forward it to the financial provider, and then they then take control of that junior ISA for the care leaver. If the young person is over the age of 16, they could be sent the My JISA, My CTF link letter. For a child trust fund child, if they are under the age of 16, we would send a letter requesting the responsible adult send us the documentation in order for us to instruct the financial provider to make them the contact rather than ourselves. Either way, the status change letter follows automatically after the submission of your data. If you need any reprints of those letters, we can certainly do that for you. It's not a problem. We would just need you to send us the TSF references of the ones that you need. But please be aware, if you send over a batch, they do come back to you 1 letter per email. So if you're sending over 20, you would get 20 emails back. So just bear that in mind, but we are more than happy to resend any letters that you might need.
Okay, so if the account or the beneficiary is over 16, they should be encouraged, as Deborah's mentioned, and there's the links below. Right, so we've got My JISA, and they're specifically for the children born outside of the child trust fund period. And then you've got myctf.sharefound.org, anyone born between the 1st of September 2002 and the 2nd of January 2011. We have got additional seminars available for what happens at 18. Again, please sign up if you're interested to know what happens then. And back to you, Sue.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Des. So I think Deborah did indicate and mention the 16 to 17 and a half letters. So when a young person turns 16, they'll receive a letter with the relevant link. I will say the relevant link. Each letter is populated in accordance with the young person's type of account that they have. So those letters shouldn't be generated for other young people. At the age of 16, every young person in care will receive one of those letters via our main contact at the local authority. And again, at 17 and a half, if nothing has been done, and emphasising that has the relevant link for them. The other thing we're doing at the moment, you may all have heard of the bilateral agreement, some of you may not. Bilateral agreement is agreement between the Share Foundation and a local authority or healthcare trust, where we can actually share data after a young person has turned 18. Normally that wouldn't have been happening. We introduced the bilateral agreements about 4 years ago. It's a legal document which was done by a legal organisation, and it has also been agreed and approved by the Information Commissioner's Office and also the DFE. So those bilateral agreements have been sent out to every local authority and healthcare trust. Some of them have been signed, some of them are well engaged, and we've already been doing a lot of work with some of those local authorities and trusts. For anybody who hasn't yet signed up, be really useful if you could, and you just need to contact Dagmar Taylor. Perhaps, Des, you wouldn't mind putting Dagmar's email in the chat. That's her direct email, but Dagmar manages those bilateral agreements. And then what will happen is that we will then send you what we believe to be the unclaimed accounts, a list of those young people who are over 18. You in turn would give us a list of the last known addresses for those young people. Obviously, that data, if there is any sensitive reason why we shouldn't have that's fine. Just put them on a no data. So generally it will be the last known address or no data where you can't give us the data or you haven't got any. Deceased, if any young people are deceased. So then we can take the appropriate actions and make sure with the deceased ones that beneficiary letters are sent out to the local authorities. And then in turn with the young people where we do have addresses, then we will be sending out the relevant letter, which will give them the relevant link for them to start the process of locating their account. So that's really helpful. For any more information, do contact Dagmar. Thank you. There's also what we call an LA Guide to Valuation Report. So it's basically what Deborah and Des have just sort of told you all about. It helps to understand the valuation report. So if you do need that, then just pop something on the chat or do email your normal Share Foundation LA representative, and they'll be more than happy to help you.
So we move on to the next slide, which is no bank account, no ID. What can we do to help? So if the beneficiary of the junior ISA account cannot provide appropriate identification, funds can be paid directly to the local authority or the health trust to pass on to the young person. This is usually by an ELA card. If the beneficiary of a junior ISA has no bank account, the funds can be paid, as I just mentioned, to the local authority to pass on to the young person. There is a form that needs to be signed by both the local authority and the young person once he's in receipt of the funds. And we must have this back within a month, just for auditing purposes. If we don't have it back in a month, it could lead to us not paying the local authority for future young people. I would say the slides and the guide to valuations are available. If anyone would like a copy of this presentation, just let us know and we will send them over across to you. And does any of you have any questions? All quiet.
Yeah, what we would say is that it isn't the easiest report to read. We do appreciate that it isn't. So if you've got any questions about individual entries, etc., just drop us an email and we can look at them on an ad hoc basis. But yeah, just ping us an email or give us a ring and we'll be able to look at them for you, not a problem. What I failed to say earlier with regard to the status change letters is that when they are generated, they are populated with the individual young person's account information. As such, there is no template for a status change letter. So if you don't have a copy and you need another one, just please let us know and we can regenerate that for you. But there is no template for them. Okay.
Well, if anyone's got any more questions, do obviously let us know here now. We'll stay on anyway till the last person leaves, so we'll still be here and we'll wait for everyone to leave. But thank you ever so much for coming along this afternoon. We hope that was helpful. We've got more seminars of different subjects, so please do head to the link and, you know, if you need to sign up, please do if you have not registered already. And thank you very much.
Thank you.